become what they could have become. When someone makes the statement, it's good enough, what they're basically saying is this: there's better out there that they've never reached for. I believe that I'm preaching to a church full of people that are so hungry for God. God, I want you to make me the man I want to be, the man I can be, the dad I can be, the leader I can be, the worship leader I can be, the prayer warrior I can be. Lord, I don't ever want to become comfortable being less than what I could be. Is there anybody feeling a stirring in your heart? Is there anybody feeling a restlessness? God, take me to that next level in you. If that's the way you feel today, why don't you put your hands together and bless the name of the Lord. She was a seamstress in Montgomery, Alabama. And on December 1, 1955, a young black lady refused to obey the angry voice of a man by the name of James Blake that said, "You, ma'am, leave here and go back to the back of the bus." Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat. Frustrated and tired of always moving to the back of the bus, her frustration produced a change not only in her life, but it produced a change in her world. I quote this one God apostolic Rosa Parks, who was water baptized in the name of Jesus, blood washed and filled with the Holy Ghost. I quote her now when she said, "I got tired of giving in." When we get tired, it's from lack of rest and lack of sleep. But this Rosa Parks, night after night, that agitation, that frustration of why do I always have to move and why is it? But there was that restlessness in her that said, "I'm bigger than that. I dare him to ask me to move one more time." And when he did, she said, "I'm not moving. I'm not budging." And from one little black woman that said, "Listen, I'm bigger than this. I'm better than this." Little did she know, because she refused to cower and refused to just go back to that same old small thinking and same old small bed. Little did she know that she would change her world. And she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom and was the first woman and second non-governmental official to lie in honor at the Capitol Rotunda. I'm telling you, it is amazing what is in you. Isn't it amazing what we can accomplish? What you see today is not near about what we are going to become, because God is stirring us to become more than we've ever been before. There's a reason why you're frustrated. You're living right. You're walking with God. You're praying. And you're saying, "But why am I restless? What's going on in me?" I'm telling you, the answer is not moving to another city or another state, but the answer is, "God, I'm kicking these covers off of my feet. I'm going to a new area. This is too small. My thinking's too small. My commitment's too small. I'm better than this." Oh, hallelujah. I like the story because he was freckled-faced and red-headed. He was a teenager, and he was asked by his father to go from the sheep that he was watching and take supplies to his brothers. You know him, and I know him as David. And as he made his way into that camp, this man-eating monster by the name of Goliath for 40 days had been threatening them and "Send me out a man. Come on, bring one, bring five, bring all of you. It don't matter." And they were cowards. They were shaking in their tents. They were fearful and afraid. Even their leader, the King Saul, was in his tent, frustrated, not knowing what to do. Little David shows up, this little teenage, red-headed, freckle-faced boy with really no expertise when it comes to military might. But for 3 days and 3 nights, for 72 hours, he listened to this man defy the name of their great God and defy the armies of the living God. For 3 nights he tried to sleep, but it was more than he could stomach. And finally he went to Saul and said, listen, I can't take this anymore. If nobody else will rise up, I'll rise up. He tossed those covers back. He rolled out of that tent and he ran to that giant and he said, you come to me, defying the name of the one true and only God. You come with all of your military might, but I come in the name of the Lord. It changed their situation. It changed their plight. I've come to tell you, you can change your whole family situation. You can absolutely fill up rows of people in this church if we would just make up our mind. I can't take it anymore. I'm not comfortable living like I am. There's more. There's more. There's more. Is there anybody that believes we can make a dent in St. Petersburg? Is there anybody believe we're going to need folding chairs to put out? Is there anybody believe that God has a greater plan than we even realize today? It's that frustration. It's that frustration of casual living. It's that frustration of lukewarm living. It's that frustration of one leg in the church and one leg outside of the church. It's that frustration of inconsistent living. It's that frustration of God's voice constantly whispering, I want to take you somewhere. I want to use you like you've never been used before. There's no amount of money. I don't care how good the job is. God has proved it time and time again across the ranks of the Pentecostal church that money's not the answer. Thank God for it. But that's not where the peace is at. Nehemiah had a prominent position. He was the king's cupbearer. He lived in a palace. He had everything that you could want. He lived better than most everybody lived. But when he heard about the broken walls of Jerusalem, that bed suddenly that was so plush and so comfortable, the cool breeze of the fan that blew upon him, and the servants that waited upon him at his every whim, and the good money that was paid every week, it began to be less appealing to him. You know, that's an amazing thing. The world can't figure it out. When they make offers to people like, hey, you just name the price and it's yours. You just let me know what it'll take. Just let me know what your price is. But they don't understand that there's a God that lives in us. That once you've ever been touched by God, there's nothing else in the world that will satisfy you but finding the purpose for living. I don't care how good the job. I don't care how good the money. I don't care how nice the house. If God has a call on your life, you're never going to be happy until you say yes to that call. I don't care how many promotions. I don't care how many marquees are decorated by your name. You will never be happy until you say, okay, God, take this whole world, but give me Jesus. The last thing I wanted to be was an apostolic preacher. I wanted to play ball. I loved it. I embraced it. I got up early thinking about it. I went to bed thinking about it. It was my dream. It was my goal. But God had other plans. I was so restless and miserable. I couldn't sleep at night. I couldn't wait for the daylight because I could get busy with my life and do what I wanted to do. But as night began to fall and I went back home and there I was in that bed. Those were the days where they only had ABC, NBC, and CBS. That's how old I am. Those were the days to where at midnight you had this funky sound that went on in this ugly looking picture. And the final words were, "Will be rebroadcasted at 6 o'clock in the morning." That's how old I am. I'd watch TV until the TV went off. I was trying to drown out that voice. But finally I got tired of fighting and said, "God, how can I fight against you? One bad thing after another has happened. All of my dreams are shattered now with this broken fist that I busted in a fight." I want to tell you today that God can find you. You can't run fast enough. You can't hide good enough. God will find you. But I'm so glad that God gave me a purpose and a reason to live. Nehemiah said, I can't sleep in this bed. King looked at him and said, What's wrong? Are you sick? You don't look well. I don't know if you can understand this, sir, or not. But there's some walls, and there's a place that I love, and there's a call of God on my life, and I can stay here in this palace. I can stay here and just kind of find a comfort zone. But there's a higher call of God. God's wanting to rebuild some walls. God's wanting to rebuild some things that have been taken down. God's wanting to bring back some people in St. Petersburg that the devil has taken from us. And so I'm here to tell you today that the only way you're going to find peace, and the only way you and I are going to be able to find a bed that we can get some sleep in, is saying, "Yes, Lord. Yes to your will, Lord. I'll be what you want me to be. I'll do what you want me to do. I'll go where you want me to go. I'll become the person you want me to come." Is there anybody hearing what I'm saying today? The frustration of sleeping in an uncomfortable bed. Her name is even too difficult to pronounce. She was content to be a school teacher in Calcutta. That is, until she daily passed the starving, the diseased, and the dying. It changed her life forever. She could no longer stay in a comfort zone of school teaching. She was too big for that bed. She would never be happy. We know her better as Mother Teresa. She would never be at peace until she found her calling. Whatever your calling is, latch hold of it. The tragedy today is not that the bed is too small. The tragedy is too many people are adjusting to their small bed. I don't want to die with any music in me. I don't want to die with any songs unwritten in me. I don't want to die with sermons in me. I don't want to die. When I die, I want my bucket empty. I want to be like the Apostle Paul and say, "I've run a good race. I've fought a good fight. I haven't left anything. I poured it all out." There's a better man in you, sir. There's a better father in you. There's a better mother in you. There's a better father in me. Can you imagine Tiger Woods being content to be the putt-putt champion of St. Petersburg? I mean, probably got a trophy about this high. So, take a picture of me. He's not content. That man wants to win more majors than Jack Nicklaus. It drives him. He goes to bed thinking about it. He gets up thinking about it. He hits about 10,000 shots every day until hands begin to bleed, because he said, "There's a bigger man in me than just being the club pro of Hicksville, Arkansas." You imagine Donald Trump, in all due respect, working to drive through at McDonald's? Man, that guy's got dreams. That man's got goals. You could scarcely go into a major city that he doesn't have one of his big hotels up there, because he's a dreamer, and there's something in him that's saying more, more, more. Can you imagine LeBron James being content, being the team champion at the local Y? Hey, put that ribbon about my neck. He said, "Not on your life. I want to be a world champion. I want to be an Olympic champion. I want to wear more world championship rings than Michael Jordan. I want to be known as the greatest basketball player. Why? Because that's in him. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be content to be the putt-putt champion. If that's the best I could become, then good. But if there is something greater in me, I don't want to die short of what God has called me to do. You know, you ought to thank God, and I know you do. You ought to thank God for a pastor that's pleased with this great crowd today. But there's a passion in him that drives him to say, as long as there's one empty chair, that's not good enough for me. As long as there's more room in this building, that's not good enough for me. That frustration you're feeling, that frustration that I feel from time to time really is a blessing from God, because God is trying to pull out of us everything that He can get out of us. I don't want the Lord to give up on me. I don't know how many times that I've been guilty of crawling back into my same little visions, same little dreams, same little bed of comfort, same little don't disturb me. But I'm so glad He doesn't give up easy. I'm so glad that when I go to a conference, I feel that touch of God. When you go to it, because of times, there's that drawing, there's that pricking of the heart that says, you've done well, but there's more out there. Thank God for this precious, this wonderful man that we're going to baptize here in just a few moments in the name of Jesus Christ. But can I tell you that there are hundreds out there just like him? Jesus told a frustrated Simon Peter, and I'm just about done now, launch out into the deep. You're living too shallow. You're fishing too shallow. Your vision's too small. When you get into the deeper area, bigger things are possible. If you will step out from where you are, I will blow your mind at what I can do. And when Simon Peter got out of his comfort zone and went back out there, the Bible describes a net-breaking, ship-sinking experience. He could have been content to say, I tried, I gave it my best shot, it just didn't work out. God was calling him to a deeper place. Is there anybody? Man, I'm impressed by this church. I'm impressed by you. I'm impressed by your hunger. Is there anybody in this building that's saying, I want to go deeper? I want to go deeper. Thank God for where He's taken us. But I want to go deeper. I want to see the great things of God. Take me deeper. I'm hearing it all over the country. God's stirring the heart of the leaders. God's stirring the people of churches all around America. Some are leaving. They're frustrated, thinking, I'm not finding any peace in the house of the Lord. And so they're backsliding. They're leaving the church and they're pursuing drugs and alcohol. Their frustration is to make them better, not to make them bitter. Listen, that restlessness, what's going on in me? I'm making more money than I ever did, but I'm frustrated. I'm regular church, but there's something in me. I want to tell you what it is today. God sent this red-headed man to tell you it's not to destroy you, the frustration, but it's to take you to that level because you're too big. You're a bigger man than where you're living right now. I close with this story. He was a builder of luxury motels in Florida. He made thousands and thousands of dollars, making big money. But his life dramatically changed July 27, 1981. It was a day that would change John's life forever. Right here in your state. It was the day that his 6-year-old son Adam was abducted in Florida. I don't mean to make you ill today. I pray it won't. But the truth of the matter is, they found Adam's severed head 120 miles from the place he was last seen. The rest of Adam's remains would never be found again. I'm going to quote you now, John Walsh. That was the day that my life changed forever. All that mattered from that hour that they found Adam's heads. All that mattered was not more money. I lost aspiration for bigger houses and another luxury motel. But my consuming compassion was to find Adam's killer and to bring the justice fugitives running free. Because of his passion, he became the most recognizable personality in the fight for human and victim rights. John Walsh, creator of the long-standing reality TV show America's Most Wanted. This luxury, living in comfort, but something happened that caused this man to say, there's got to be more to life than money. There's got to be more to life than just drawing up plans for another bigger house. I can't rest. I can't go back to my same old work. He helped pass laws against child injustices, thank God. He was personally responsible for the capture of over 1,000 fugitives. And I quote him now, "This is what I live for. This is what helps me sleep at night." He found his purpose. That bed that he had slept in before, he couldn't go back to it. How can I go back to that same bed when there are predators on the loose? I can't save my son Adam, but I can save somebody else's Adam. I can save somebody else's Abria. I can save somebody else's child. Can I tell you, Life Center? Listen, Life Church, listen to me. There's a predator loosed. And he goeth about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. Thank God for a John Walsh that's putting the sick, the deranged, behind bars where they belong. Can I tell you that God is stirring us as a people in the church because there is a deranged madman, we know him as Satan, that wants more than to sever somebody's head. He wants to take their eternal soul to a lake of fire forever and ever. What a beautiful thing it would be if somehow it's only if God can do it. I can't do it. But what if tonight, what if in this service, there would be a life switch that you say, my mama's lost. I'm not going to get off my knees until she's saved. What about some wayward children? What about the backsliders that used to sit on these pews? You say, well, they've been hurt. We've all been hurt at one time or another. But thank God that there were intercessors. Thank God for men and women. Brother Husband would tell you today, my mother's one of the greatest prayer warriors anywhere. I'm the product today of a mom raised in an alcoholic home. I'm the product of a mother that raised us kids. There would be months that I wouldn't see my dad, and when he came in, he would come in a drunken stupor. I remember the many nights when he threatened to kill her, and I was, as a young child, I determined, when I get big enough, I'm going to kill you. I don't know how many nights in the wee hours of a comfortable bed, my mother would roll out from underneath those covers and get on her knees and call my name and pray. As long as there's one lost soul in St. Petersburg, we can't be content. How many's got loved ones and family members that are lost today? Would you raise your hand? Thank you. If you could put those down. How many know of people that used to sit on these pews, used to worship? Here, would you raise your hand of people? I would to God right now that the Lord would just change our lives. Start with me. I'm not preaching down to anybody. I'm preaching to all of us, and probably me more than anybody. But oh God, don't let me become comfortable with anything short of what you have for my life. Would you lift your hands to the Lord right now? Jesus, thou Son of David, have mercy on us, Lord. You're calling us to greater things, Lord. There's a mama here in this building today, Lord. I just feel in my heart that you're just calling her to be a better mom, dads to be better dads. There's some prayer warriors here, Lord, that hell fears. The world's trying to rock us to sleep. The spirit of the age is trying to rock us to sleep in a comfortable place. But there's a deeper calling. There's a deep calling to deep today. There's some young people hearing it. There's some elders hearing it. There's a church that's hearing it. I don't want to learn how to sleep in an uncomfortable bed. Jesus. If you feel that restlessness, that call of God, not a restlessness to destroy, but a restlessness to draw us closer to Him, why don't you stand and lift your hand to the Lord today? Would you do that? You've been a pleasure to preach to. Your hearts are so hungry. With your hands raised, you say, more of you, Jesus. More of you, Jesus. I want to find my purpose. Don't let me get comfortable anymore. God, bring me out of that rut. God, bring me out of that rut. I love you and I'm going to serve you. But God, you're stirring me out of my nest as the eagle stirreth her nest. Is there anybody else that'd like to join this precious man around the front? That you're coming in today and you're saying, God, I'm moving to a bigger place than you. I'm moving to a bigger place. There's some intercessors that God's calling. God bless our precious guests that have come today and responded. I don't know if we can make it 100%, but as many as will, would you please come and just respond to God? Don't let me get comfortable, God, until I find your purpose. Draw me closer to your love. I'm shaking myself out of that bed. I'll never be the same again.
For I want
Oh, yes, Jesus.
than I've been before. Jesus, I want more.
Jesus, I need more. Take me deeper than I've been before. Take me further, God, I long for more. Take me higher than I've been before. Jesus, I want more. Jesus, I need more. Take me deeper than I've been before. Take me further, God, I long for. Take me higher than I've been before. Jesus, I want more. Jesus, I need more. I want to know you. I want to hear your voice. I want to feel you more than before. I want to touch you. I want to see your face. I want you to